The morning sun rose over New Busan's eastern fields, painting the grain crops in shades of gold and amber. Park Ji-woo wiped sweat from his forehead and looked across the land his family had worked for 3 generations. The wheat swayed gently in the breeze, almost ready for harvest. It was a good year. It had been many good years. The soil is perfect today, a voice called out in accented human speech. Ji-woo turned to see his neighbor, Zelmora. Walking between the rows, her scaled skin gleamed blue-green in the sunlight, and her 4 arms carried tools for the day's work. She was Kryn, like many others who lived on New Busan. Like many others whose grandparents had come here as refugees 150 years ago. "Your family taught mine well," Ji-woo replied with a smile. "My grandfather said your grandmother knew nothing about farming when she arrived." Zelmora laughed, a chittering sound that Ji-woo had known all his life. "She knew war. That was all. Your grandfather taught her peace. It was an old story, one told across hundreds of human worlds. When humanity first reached the stars, they found a galaxy burning. The Galactic Scourge War had raged for 70 years. The Kryn Collective fought against 7 other species in a brutal conflict that consumed entire solar systems. Billions died. Refugees fled to any safe harbor they could find. Then humanity arrived. Young species, new to the galaxy, but carrying weapons that made the warring races stop and stare. Fusion lances that could crack planets. Kinetic bombardment systems that turned moons to dust. Fleet coordination technology, decades ahead of anyone else. The galaxy held its breath. Another player with such power could tip the balance, could join one side and crush the others, but humanity did something no one expected. They chose peace. The Treaty of Terra took 5 years to negotiate. Humanity forced every side to disarm. They demanded the Kryn dismantle their war fleets. They required the other 7 species to destroy their weapons platforms. They enforced demilitarization across all parties. And humanity led by example, reducing their own military to small defense forces. The cost was enormous. Humanity poured resources into refugee relief. They opened their colonies to displaced populations. They stationed peacekeeping fleets at strategic points. For 150 years, humanity maintained the peace, accepting the burden of being the galaxy's protector. Ji-woo had grown up hearing these stories, but they were ancient history, grandfather's tales. For his entire life, there had only been peace. He had never seen war. He never wanted to. "Race you to the irrigation controls?" Zelmora asked, breaking his thoughts. "You have 4 arms. That's cheating," Ji-woo said, but he was already running. They were laughing when the sky turned white. Ji-woo fell to his knees, hands covering his eyes. The brightness faded after a moment, leaving purple afterimages. He blinked hard, trying to clear his vision. When he could see again, he looked up. Ships hung in orbit, dozens of them. They were Kryn design. He recognized the curved hulls and spiral engines. But these weren't cargo vessels or passenger transports. These were warships, bristling with weapons. "No," Zelmora whispered. Her voice carried a horror Ji-woo had never heard before. "No, no, no. What is it? What's happening?" Ji-woo asked. Another flash of light. This time to the south. Then another to the west. The ground shook beneath their feet. In the distance, a pillar of fire rose into the sky where the city of Namgu had stood just moments before. "Run." Zelmora grabbed Ji-woo's arm with 2 of her hands. "We have to run now. I ready now. Run. We have to run now." They sprinted toward Ji-woo's farmhouse. Around them, other farmers stood frozen, staring at the sky. Some pointed, some screamed. Behind them, more flashes of light appeared as orbital weapons fired down at the surface. Ji-woo's house was small, just 3 rooms, but it had a basement that doubled as a storm shelter. They tumbled down the stairs as the world above them began to burn. The walls shook, Dust rained from the ceiling. Ji-woo fumbled for the emergency radio and switched it on. Static filled the air, then a voice broke through. All human settlements under attack. Repeat. Kryn forces are firing on civilian populations. The signal died, then returned. No warning given, they came without. Static again. Zelmora slumped against the wall, her head in her hands. They waited. They planned this. Oh, ancestors. They planned this. I don't understand, Ji-woo said. His hands were shaking. The treaty. The peace. It's been 150 years. Exactly 150 years, Zelmora said bitterly. That's how long they waited. How long they prepared. She looked at Ji-woo, and he saw tears in her large, dark eyes. Do you know what the Kryn leadership called those years? The Great Humiliation. They taught it in schools. How humanity forced us to disarm. How we were stopped from our destiny of conquest. How we were made weak. But you're not, your family isn't. My family ran from war, Zelmora said. We wanted peace. We were grateful to humanity. But we were the minority. Most Kryn never forgot. Never forgave. They saw humanity's mercy as weakness. Ji-woo tried the radio again. He cycled through emergency frequencies. Most were dead air. On one channel, he caught a fragment of transmission. Earth reports Kryn fleet, engaged in orbit, casualties unknown. Then, nothing. They're attacking Earth? Ji-woo felt cold. Earth was the heart of human space, the place where the treaty had been signed. If Earth was under attack, then this wasn't just New Busan. This was everywhere. It's genocide, Zelmora said quietly. A planned, coordinated genocide. They're hitting every human world at once. The basement shook again. Something heavy crashed on the floor above them. Through the small window near the ceiling, Ji-woo could see orange light flickering. Fire. The fields were burning. He thought of his neighbors. The Kim family, 3 farms over. Old Mrs. Park, who made the best kimchi in the settlement. Young Lee Min, who wanted to be a teacher. Were they all? We can't stay here, Zelmora said. She stood up, moving to a storage locker in the corner. Your grandfather showed me this once. Said every farm had one. She pulled out a sealed case. Inside was an emergency beacon, water purification tablets, medical supplies, and a map showing evacuation routes. Humanity had maintained these caches on every colony, just in case the peace ever ended. There's a spaceport at Yongu, Ji-woo said, studying the map. 20 kilometers north. If it's still standing, Zelmora replied. If it's not, we die here, Ji-woo said. He was surprised by how steady his voice sounded. I'd rather die trying. They gathered supplies quickly. Ji-woo took one last look around the basement. His grandfather had built this house. His father had expanded it. Ji-woo had planned to pass it to his own children someday. Now it would be ash. They emerged into a world transformed. The sky glowed red with burning settlements. In the distance, ships continued firing. Closer to the ground, Ji-woo could see Kryn dropships landing. Soldiers were coming. They'll kill me too, Zelmora said quietly. I'm with you. I'm a traitor to them. Then we run together, Ji-woo said. They moved north, keeping to the tree lines and irrigation ditches. Around them, New Busan died. The world that had known only peace for 150 years learned what war meant. And in orbit, the Kryn fleet continued its work, repaying humanity's greatest mercy with systematic extermination. The galaxy would learn, too late, that some debts are paid in blood. The transport ship shuddered as another explosion rocked the spaceport. Ji-woo held onto a support rail while refugees pushed past him, desperate to board. He had lost sight of Zelmora in the crowd 10 minutes ago. Now he just focused on staying upright. Move. Move. A human security officer waved people forward. We launch in 5 minutes, with or without full capacity. Ji-woo stumbled up the ramp. Inside, the cargo hold had been hastily converted for passengers. No seats, just floor space and handrails. People packed in shoulder to shoulder, humans mostly, but he saw other species too. A few Kryn like Zelmora, some Threll merchants, even a group of Vakari children crying for their parents. Ji-woo, the voice cut through the chaos. Zelmora pushed through the crowd toward him, her 4 arms helping her move between the pressed bodies. I thought I lost you, Ji-woo said. Hard to lose someone this tall, she replied. Kryn stood a full head taller than most humans. Did you hear? The pilot is trying to reach Earth. Earth? Ji-woo felt a flutter of hope. It's still standing? No one knows. Communications are down across most of human space. We're flying blind. The ramp closed with a hiss. The ship's engines whined to life, building to a roar. Through the small windows, Ji-woo caught one last glimpse of New Busan. The entire southern hemisphere glowed with fire. Kryn warships still hung in orbit like predatory birds. Then the transport lurched upward, acceleration pressing everyone against the rear bulkhead. Ji-woo closed his eyes and held on. Across the galaxy, in the crystal spires of the Galactic Council chambers, Ambassador Chen Hae-won stood before representatives of 14 species. Her hands gripped the podium, knuckles white. 83 human worlds have gone dark in the past 12 hours, she said, her voice controlled but tight. Early reports indicate orbital bombardment of civilian centers. The death toll is estimated in the billions. This is genocide. The Kryn ambassador, Telvar, rose slowly. His scales were a deep crimson, marking him as high nobility. Ambassador Chen speaks of tragedy, but ignores context. For 150 years, humanity has prevented the natural order of galactic power. They forced disarmament upon sovereign nations. They stationed their fleets in our space. They dictated terms to species that existed before humans left their homeworld. We enforced a peace that saved trillions of lives, Chen snapped. You enforced humiliation, Telvar replied calmly. You came to a galaxy at war and forced everyone to bend the knee. You dismantled our fleets. You made us weak. And for 150 years, you pretended this was mercy. It was mercy, Chen's voice cracked. We could have chosen a side. We could have helped one faction destroy the others. Instead, we gave you peace. Peace we did not ask for, Telvar said. Peace that prevented the Kryn collective from claiming our rightful position among the stars. You thought your military superiority gave you the right to dictate galactic order. Now you learn that superiority can be lost. The Threll representative, a massive being covered in thick fur, shifted in their seat. Ambassador Telvar, even if we accept your argument about historical grievances, how do you justify targeting civilian populations? Telvar turned his large eyes toward the Threll. How many Kryn civilians died in the wars humanity stopped? Wars that were our right to wage? The collective seeks only what humanity took from us, the freedom to determine our own destiny. By killing billions? Chen demanded. By correcting an injustice, Telvar replied. Humanity enforced the Treaty of Terra through military threat. They demanded we disarm. They required we reduce our fleets to small defense forces. We complied. But humanity made a critical error. They assumed we would stay disarmed. Our run won. The chamber fell silent. For 150 years, Telvar continued, the collective rebuilt. Slowly, secretly. Hidden shipyards in dead systems. Weapons development disguised as commercial research. We prepared for this day. The day when we would reclaim what was taken from us. The council must intervene, Chen said, looking around at the other representatives. Article 7 of the Galactic Charter requires collective action against genocide. The Vakari representative, a thin being with translucent skin, spoke up. Ambassador Chen, humanity used the same article to justify intervention in the Scourge War. You claim the right to enforce peace through superior military power. Now you ask us to do the same? None. That was different. We stopped a war, not started one. You stopped our war, the Vakari said quietly. You forced us to disarm. You made us dependent on human protection. And when we objected, you threatened us with your fusion lances and kinetic weapons. Tell me, Ambassador, where is that mighty human fleet now? Chen's face went pale. We honored the treaty. We disarmed alongside everyone else. Did you? Telvar asked. Or did you simply hide your weapons better than we did? It hardly matters now. The collective's intelligence indicates humanity truly believed in their own peace. They actually reduced their military to defense forces. They kept their word. He laughed, a hissing sound. It would be admirable if it were not so foolish. On the transport from New Busan, Jiwoo listened to Zelmora explain what she knew. They sat, pressed against the cargo hold wall, speaking quietly while others around them slept or wept. The collective spent 150 years planning this, Zelmora said. They studied every human world, identified key targets, built a fleet in secret, and they waited for the perfect moment. What moment? Jiwoo asked. When humanity was most vulnerable. Your military is scattered across the galaxy, maintaining peace. Small defense fleets, just like the treaty required. No massive armadas, no planet-killing weapons ready to deploy. You actually kept your word, and they saw that as weakness. They saw it as opportunity, Zelmora corrected. The collective leadership believed humanity would never actually use their full military power, that you were too concerned with being the good ones, the peacekeepers. They thought you had gone soft. The transport's intercom crackled. All passengers, this is the captain. We've received a message from Earth. I'm patching it through. Static filled the hold, then a voice emerged. Earth command to all human vessels, if you can hear this, update your navigation. Earth is secure. Repeat. Earth is secure. Home fleet, engaged Kryn attack force. Cheers erupted through the hold. People grabbed each other, crying with relief. But Jiwoo noticed Zelmora's face. She looked troubled. What's wrong? He asked. Earth survived, she said slowly. That means humanity had more military power than the collective expected, which means the Kryn's intelligence was wrong. Which means, Earth. They're going to escalate, Jiwoo finished. Zelmora nodded. The collective committed to genocide. If Earth can fight back, they'll send everything. Their entire rebuilt fleet. This isn't over. It's just beginning. In the council chambers, Ambassador Chen received the same message. Earth stood. But the relief was brief. Telvar had heard it too. His expression darkened. It seems humanity kept secrets after all. How interesting. The great peacekeepers, preaching disarmament, while maintaining hidden military forces. We kept what we needed to enforce the treaty, Chen said. Unlike you, we didn't rebuild an invasion fleet. Semantics, Telvar replied. But it changes nothing. If humanity wishes to fight, the collective will oblige. We have 10,000 warships. How many does Earth have? A few hundred? Perhaps 1,000 if you strip every colony of defense? He turned to address the full council. Honored representatives, the Kryn Collective requests that this council remain neutral in the current conflict. This is a matter between the collective and humanity. Do not involve yourselves. And if we do, the Threll representative asked, then you will learn why the Scourge War lasted 70 years, Telvar said simply. The collective is willing to pursue peace with all species, except those who forced humiliation upon us. The vote was called. 13 species voted for non-intervention. Only the humans voted to act. Chen left the chamber knowing Earth stood alone. On the transport, now 3 days into its journey, Jiwoo stared out a window at the stars. They looked the same as always. Beautiful. Peaceful. Uncaring about the genocide happening below them. "I never wanted to be a soldier," he said quietly. "Neither did I," Zelmora replied. "My grandmother ran from war. But war found us anyway. What do? We reach Earth. We help however we can. And we hope that humanity remembers why the galaxy feared them 150 years ago." Jiwoo thought about that. Humanity had come to the stars with terrible weapons. They had chosen mercy instead. Now the galaxy would see if mercy could survive betrayal, or if humanity would become what they once refused to be. Jiwoo pressed his face against the transport's viewport as Earth came into view. He had never been to humanity's homeworld before. He expected to see a planet under siege, smoke rising from burning cities, orbital defenses in ruins. Instead, Earth looked peaceful. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents. Beautiful and untouched. But the space around Earth told a different story. Debris fields stretched for thousands of kilometers. Shattered hulls of Kryn warships tumbled through the void. Some were still venting atmosphere, frozen streams of gas glittering in the sunlight. Others had been cut cleanly in half, their interiors exposed to vacuum. "There must be hundreds of wrecks," Zelmora said beside him. She counted silently, her eyes moving across the battlefield. "Maybe 1,000. What could do this?" Jiwoo asked. An answer came over the intercom. "Refugee Transport Delta 7. This is Earth Defense Control. Welcome home. Please proceed to Docking Bay 12 at Luna Station. And don't worry about the debris. We're cleaning it up." The voice sounded tired but proud. Luna Station was chaos. Refugee ships from across human space crowded the docks. People moved through corridors in streams, carrying everything they owned. Some cried. Some looked lost. Others wore expressions of grim determination. Jiwoo and Zelmora followed the crowd to a processing center. They registered their names, received temporary housing assignments, and got meal vouchers. The efficiency impressed Jiwoo. Earth was handling millions of refugees without collapsing into panic. "New arrivals from colony worlds, please proceed to Briefing Room 7, a voice announced over speakers. The briefing room held about 200 people. A woman in military uniform stood at the front. She was middle-aged, with short gray hair and 3 stars on her collar. "Admiral," Jiwoo realized. "I'm Admiral Kim Soo-jin," she said. "Earth Defense Command. I know you all have questions. I'll answer what I can." Hands shot up across the room. "How many colonies did we lose?" someone shouted. 117 worlds went dark in the first wave, Kim said. The room went silent. "We've re-established contact with 38. The others are either still under attack or..." She didn't finish. She didn't need to. "What about the Galactic Council?" another voice called. "Are they sending help?" Kim's expression hardened. "The council voted for non-intervention. We stand alone." Angry muttering filled the room. Jiwoo felt Zelmora tense beside him. "What I'm about to tell you is need-to-know information," Kim continued. "But you need to know. The Kryn Collective sent approximately 4,000 ships to attack Earth. They believed we were defenseless. They believed we had honored the Treaty of Terra completely and reduced our military to nothing." She paused, letting that sink in. They were wrong. The briefing room's lights dimmed. A holographic display appeared, showing Earth's solar system. Ships began appearing on the display. Hundreds of them, hidden among the asteroid belt. In orbital stations disguised as research facilities. In underground bases on Mars and Luna. 150 years ago, humanity made a choice, Kim said. We would enforce peace on the galaxy. We demanded every species disarm. We led by example, publicly reducing our fleet to small defense forces. We kept our word. Mostly, the hologram zoomed in on Earth. A ring of defensive platforms became visible. Weapons systems that had been dormant for generations. But humanity learned from our own history, Kim continued. We learned that peace is only possible when backed by strength. We learned that showing all your weapons invites attack. So we made a decision that haunted us for 150 years. We kept secrets. And you violated the treaty, someone said. Not accusingly, just stating a fact. Yes, Kim said simply. We maintained a hidden reserve. Not enough to conquer the galaxy. Not enough to threaten anyone who kept the peace. But enough to make any aggressor regret breaking it. The hologram showed the battle. Kryn ships approaching Earth, confident and organized. Then Earth's hidden defenses activating. Kinetic platforms releasing projectiles from the asteroid belt. Ships emerging from Mars orbit, weapons hot. The Kryn expected to face a few hundred outdated defense ships, Kim said. Instead, they encountered a force of 800 modern warships and full planetary defense grid. We destroyed half their attack fleet before they withdrew. Cheers erupted in the briefing room. But Kim raised her hand for silence. Don't celebrate yet. We won the battle for Earth. But there are still Kryn fleets attacking our colonies. And now, they know we can fight back. Which means they'll commit everything. Our intelligence suggests the collective has rebuilt to approximately 10,000 warships. We have 800, and most are needed here, to defend Earth. The room fell quiet again. We're outgunned, Kim said bluntly. But we're not beaten. Humanity has always been good at winning fights we shouldn't. We're calling for volunteers to crew ships, man defense stations, and help coordinate evacuations. No one will be forced. But we need people. Jiwoo found himself standing before he realized it. I volunteer. Around the room, others stood too. Farmers like him, teachers, engineers, artists, people who had lived their entire lives in peace, now offering to fight. Kim looked across them, and Jiwoo saw sadness in her eyes. She had hoped they would never need to make this choice. Thank you, she said quietly. Report to recruitment stations on Deck 9. We'll find where you fit best. After the briefing, as crowds filed out, Zelmora grabbed Jiwoo's arm. Are you sure about this? My world is gone, Jiwoo said. My family is dead. What else am I going to do? Survive? Rebuild? That's what refugees do. I'm not a refugee anymore, Jiwoo said. I'm a soldier. The recruitment center assigned him to the frigate Incheon, a fast attack ship that had been hidden in Mars orbit for a century. The crew was a mix of career, military, and volunteers like Jiwoo. They trained for 18 hours a day, learning systems that were both brand new and 150 years old. The Incheon's captain was a young woman named Park Min-ji. She gathered the crew in the ship's small briefing room on their third day. I won't lie to you, she said. Our job is to buy time. Earth's defense fleet can hold the homeworld, but we have colonies still under attack. We're going to relieve them. Be incessant. She pulled up a star map. Red dots marked human colonies. Most were dark. The Kryn are being methodical, Minji explained. They're not just attacking randomly. They're systematically destroying our agricultural worlds, our industrial centers, our key strategic points. They're trying to make humanity impossible to rebuild. So we stop them, someone said. We slow them down, Minji corrected. We can't win in direct combat. A Kryn heavy cruiser outguns us 3-1. But we're faster. We're smarter. And we know something they don't. Our Kryn. What's that, Captain? Jiwoo asked. Minji smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. We spent 150 years studying every species in the galaxy. We know their tactics, their weaknesses, their psychology. We enforced peace, but we prepared for war. Now, we use that knowledge. 3 days later, the Incheon and 5 other frigates left Earth orbit. Their destination was New Jeju, a colony world under attack by a Kryn occupation force. In transit, Zelmora managed to send Jiwoo a message through the station network. I'm working with the Refugee Coordination Center, helping Kryn refugees who oppose the genocide. There are more of us than you think. Stay safe, Jiwoo. He sent back a simple reply. Thank you for everything. Watch over Earth for me. The Incheon dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of New Jeju's system. Sensors immediately detected Kryn ships in orbit around the colony. 3 heavy cruisers and a dozen smaller escorts. They've finished the bombardment, the sensor officer reported. Now they're landing troops. Looks like they're taking survivors prisoner. Captain Minji studied the tactical display. They want prisoners. Why? Maybe for show trials, someone suggested. Proof. They're not just killing everyone, or they need slaves. Another voice added darkly. Doesn't matter why, Minji said. We're getting our people out. Tactical. Find me a solution. The tactical officer worked for several minutes, running simulations. Captain, there's no way 6 frigates can fight 15 Kryn ships and win. Then we don't fight, Minji said. We rescue. She outlined the plan. It was insane. It was desperate. It was exactly the kind of thing that might work. Jiwoo checked his station. He was assigned to electronic warfare, using Earth's advanced systems to confuse enemy sensors. It was work he had trained for, but never expected to use. All hands, battle stations. Minji's voice came over the intercom. Let's show the Kryn what humanity learned in 150 years of peace. The Incheon accelerated toward New Jeju. Behind them, Earth stood secure but alone. Ahead, an enemy that had repaid mercy with genocide. And somewhere between the two, humanity would discover if they remembered how to fight, or if 150 years of peace had made them forget what they once were. The Incheon's bridge hummed with quiet tension as they approached New Jeju. Jiwoo kept his eyes on the electronic warfare console, fingers ready to deploy countermeasures. His heart pounded, but his hands stayed steady. Enemy formation hasn't changed, the sensor officer reported. 3 heavy cruisers, maintaining high orbit. Escorts spread out around the planet. They're not expecting trouble. Captain Minji leaned forward in her chair. Why would they? They think we're scattered and broken. Time to teach them otherwise. Communications. Broadcast the signal. The communications officer nodded and activated the transmission. It was a pre-recorded message in the Kryn language, claiming to be a merchant vessel requesting safe passage. Simple. Innocent. They're hailing us, communications said, demanding we identify ourselves properly. Keep sending the merchant code, Minji ordered. Navigation. Bring us in slow and confused. Make it look like we're lost civilians. The Incheon adjusted course, moving erratically. To the Kryn sensors, they would appear as refugees or confused traders who had stumbled into an active war zone. Jiwoo watched his console. The Kryn cruisers were scanning them, but the scans were casual, not the active targeting locks of ships preparing to fire. They're buying it, the tactical officer whispered. 2 escort ships breaking formation, sensors announced. Moving to intercept us. They're treating us as a nuisance, not a threat. Perfect, Minji said. Hold course. The minutes stretched. Jiwoo forced himself to breathe normally. The 2 Kryn escorts approached, weapons powered but not locked. They were going to board the Incheon. He realized. Check their cargo and send them away. They would never get the chance. Escorts entering weapons range in 30 seconds, Tactical said. All ships, Minji said over the fleet channel. Execute Phoenix Protocol on my mark. Jiwoo's fingers moved to the prepared commands. Phoenix Protocol was something humanity had developed during the years of peace. A combat doctrine based on speed, deception, and overwhelming first strike. 20 seconds. The Kryn escorts continued their approach, confident and unhurried. 10 seconds. Jiwoo could see them on the display now. 2 ships, each twice the size of the Incheon. Mark. The Incheon transformed. The fake hull plating that had hidden their weapons fell away. Fusion lances extended from concealed bays. Missile tubes opened. In half a second, the merchant vessel became a warship. And it wasn't alone. The other 5 frigates decloaked around New Jeju, each one shedding false sensor profiles. They had been there the entire time, hiding in the planet's shadow, waiting. The Incheon's weapons fired at point-blank range. Fusion lances punched through the nearest escort's shields before they could activate. The ship split apart, hull integrity failing. The second escort tried to turn, but missiles from 2 other frigates slammed into its engines. It went dark, tumbling out of control. "Both escorts down," Tactical shouted. "Heavy cruisers are reacting. They're powering weapons." "All frigates, new targets," Minji commanded. "Hit the troop transports on the surface. We're here for the prisoners." The Incheon dove toward the planet. Behind them, the 3 heavy cruisers lumbered into pursuit. They were powerful, but they were slow. The frigates were already past them, racing toward the surface. Ji-woo activated his electronic warfare suite. Jamming signals flooded the area, confusing Kryn targeting systems. It wouldn't stop them from firing, but it would make them less accurate. "Troop transports on the surface are taking off," sensors reported. "They've got at least 2,000 human prisoners loaded. Mark those transports," Minji ordered. The 6 frigates split up, each targeting different transports. The Incheon lined up on a heavy cargo vessel, struggling to reach orbit. Ji-woo could see it on the display, running hard, desperate to get away. "Disable, don't destroy," Minji reminded them. Precise targeting. That's what humanity had practiced for 150 years. Not overwhelming firepower, but surgical strikes. The weapons officer fired a careful burst, hitting the transport's engines. The ship lurched, momentum carrying it upward, but power failing. "It's drifting," Tactical said. "Won't make orbit. Coming back down. Tag it for later recovery," Minji said. "Next, target." But the heavy cruisers had caught up. Weapons fire lit up space around the frigates. The ship to their port side, the Seoul, took a direct hit. Its shields flared and failed. "Seoul is venting atmosphere," communications shouted. "They're losing power." "This is Seoul." A strained voice came over the channel. "We're going down, but we're not done. Tell Earth we kept fighting." The Seoul turned toward the nearest heavy cruiser, engines pushing to maximum. A suicide run. The Kryn ship tried to maneuver, but the Seoul was too close. The frigate slammed into the cruiser's bridge section at full speed. Both ships exploded. Ji-woo stared at the screen, unable to process what he had just seen. 50 crew on the Seoul, gone in an instant. "Stay focused." Minji's voice cut through his shock. "Tactical. Status of remaining transports? 4 disabled on the surface. 2 got away before we could intercept. 2 more trying to reach orbit. 2 more. 2 more. 2 more. 2 more. We get those 2, Minji said. Then we hold position while rescue ships arrive. The Incheon chased down another transport. This one had a Kryn escort protecting it. The escort was small, but determined. It positioned itself between the Incheon and the transport. Weapons, firing in steady streams. "He's trying to buy time," Tactical said, letting the transport escape. "Then we go through him," Minji said coldly. The Incheon's fusion lances spoke together. The Kryn escort's shields held for 3 seconds, then failed. The ship broke apart, and the Incheon shot through the debris field. The transport tried to run. Ji-woo disabled its engines with a precise electronic warfare hack, shutting down their reactor core remotely. The ship went dead in space. "That's 5 disabled," Minji said. "The last one is almost away. Someone intercept." "I've got it," another frigate captain replied. The Busan accelerated past them, chasing the final transport toward the edge of the system. But the 2 remaining Kryn heavy cruisers had regrouped. They moved to block the human ships from the disabled transports. They're protecting the prisoners, sensors said, using them as shields. Minji slammed her fist on her chair's armrest. The Kryn knew humanity wouldn't fire on ships carrying their own people. It was a smart tactic. Cruel, but smart. All ships, fall back to minimum safe distance, Minji ordered. Maintain defensive positions. If they want a standoff, we'll give them one. For an hour, the two sides watched each other across the void. The Kryn heavy cruisers loomed over the disabled transports. The 5 remaining human frigates held position, weapons ready, but not firing. Then Jiwoo's console lit up. New contacts entering the system. Sensors picking up massive faster-than-light signatures, the officer reported. His voice went tight. Captain, it's the Kryn main fleet. Thousands of ships. They're here. The bridge went silent. Through the viewport, Jiwoo saw space tear open as ship after ship emerged. Heavy cruisers, battleships, carriers. The Kryn Collective had sent everything. They're not here for New Jeju, Minji said quietly. They're on their way to Earth. Communications from the lead ship, the officer said. It's a general broadcast. They're demanding Earth's surrender. Put it on speakers, Minji ordered. A Kryn voice filled the bridge, speaking in accented human language. Human defenders, this is Fleet Commander Raltok of the Kryn Collective. Our forces number 10,000 warships. Your Earth has perhaps 800 ships and planetary defenses. The outcome is certain. Surrender now, and we will show mercy to those who submit. The channel went silent, waiting for a response. From Earth, across thousands of light years, came Admiral Kim's voice. Fleet Commander Raltok, this is Admiral Kim Soo-jin, Earth Defense Command. You mistake our restraint for weakness. You mistake our mercy for softness. You murdered billions of humans who wanted only peace. You violated every principle of civilized behavior. And now you come to our homeworld with threats. A pause, then Kim continued. We gave you 150 years of peace. We protected refugees. We enforced a treaty that saved trillions of lives. We showed you mercy when we could have shown you extinction. You repaid us with genocide. Another pause. When Kim spoke again, her voice was cold as vacuum. Come to Earth, Commander. Bring your 10,000 ships. We'll show you what humanity becomes when mercy fails. The transmission ended. On the Incheon's bridge, Jiwoo looked at Captain Minji. She was smiling. It was a terrible smile. All ships, she said. Set course for Earth. Best speed. The Kryn want a final battle. Let's give them one they'll remember. For the next 150 years, the frigates turned toward home, leaving the Kryn fleet to follow like a storm of locusts. Behind them, New Jeju's disabled transports still held 2,000 human prisoners. There was no time to rescue them. No time to do anything but run. Jiwoo thought of those people, trapped in dead ships, watching their only hope jump to faster-than-light speed and abandon them. He thought of his burned colony, his dead family, the 150 years of peace that ended in fire. The Kryn wanted war. Now they would have it. And humanity, patient and peaceful for so long, would remind the galaxy why they had been feared before they chose mercy. The Incheon accelerated toward Earth, toward a battle that would decide whether humanity's mercy had been wisdom or fatal weakness. Earth hung in space like a blue jewel as the Kryn armada emerged from faster-than-light travel. Jiwoo watched from the Incheon's bridge as ship after ship appeared, their hulls blotting out the stars. 10,000 warships. The largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Against them, humanity's defenders looked pitiful. 800 ships, most smaller than the Kryn cruisers. Orbital defense platforms that had gathered dust for 150 years. And one planet full of people who had almost forgotten what war meant. Fleet Commander Raltok is broadcasting again, the communications officer said. Same demand for surrender. Admiral Kim's response came swift and clear across all channels. Earth Defense Command, to all ships. Hold your positions. Today we show the galaxy what mercy backed by strength looks like. Today we remind them why they feared humanity before we chose peace. The Kryn fleet moved forward in perfect formation, confident in their overwhelming numbers. They advanced slowly, giving Earth time to reconsider. Time to realize the hopelessness of their position. Instead, Earth's defenders spread out, forming a thin defensive sphere around their homeworld. The Incheon took position near Luna Station, where Jiwoo could see refugee ships still docked. Behind them were millions of people, humans and aliens both, all trusting that humanity could protect them one more time. They're entering maximum weapons range, Tactical reported. Locking targets. All ships, weapons free. The first exchange of fire lit up the void. Kryn warships opened up with massed volleys, thousands of weapons firing as one. It should have been overwhelming. Instead, Earth's ships moved. They didn't move randomly. They moved as one organism, each ship knowing exactly where the others would be. 150 years of planning. 150 years of studying every possible enemy tactic. 150 years of preparation for the day someone broke the peace. The human ships wove between incoming fire like dancers in a deadly ballet. What hits they couldn't dodge. They absorbed on shields, positioned at perfect angles, and when they returned fire, every shot counted. Jiwoo's electronic warfare station lit up with activity. He and hundreds of other operators across the fleet unleashed coordinated jamming. Kryn targeting systems flickered and failed. Their perfect formations began to fragment as ships lost communication with their commanders. Their command structure is too rigid, Captain Minji explained as the Incheon rolled to avoid a missile barrage. They rely on centralized control. We're cutting their communications and watching them fall apart. She was right. The Kryn fleet, so impressive in formation, began making mistakes. Ships fired at positions where human vessels had been seconds ago. Coordinated attacks fell apart as individual captains lost contact with fleet command. But there were so many of them. We're taking losses, sensors reported. The Daegu just lost shields. The Gwangju is venting atmosphere. Multiple ships reporting damage. For every Kryn ship humanity destroyed, 2 more took its place. The numbers were overwhelming. Humanity's precision and skill bought them time, but it couldn't defeat mathematics. Captain, incoming transmission, communication said. It's from the Kryn fleet. Not military channel. It's on civilian frequency. Minji frowned. Put it through, a Kryn voice. Female. Speaking in unaccented human language. Human defenders. This is Zelmora. Broadcasting from Luna Station. Please, listen. I'm sending this to my people. To all Kryn. Please listen. On the main display, Zelmora's face appeared. Jiwoo's breath caught. His friend. His neighbor from New Busan. My name is Zelmora. My grandmother was a refugee from the Scourge War. Humanity took her in when she had nothing. They taught her peace. They showed her mercy. For 3 generations, my family has lived among humans. They treated us as equals. As friends. She paused, her large eyes glistening. The collective says humans humiliated us, that they prevented our destiny. But what destiny? More war? More death? The Scourge War killed billions of Kryn. It destroyed our worlds. Humanity stopped that. They gave us peace. The transmission split, showing both Zelmora and the battle raging outside. Right now, you're killing the species that saved us. You're murdering the people who showed us there was another way. And for what? Pride? The memory of a humiliation that most of you never even experienced? Her voice grew stronger. I stand with humanity. Not because they're perfect. Not because they never made mistakes. But because when they had the power to destroy us, They chose mercy. When they could have conquered the galaxy, they chose peace. And now, when we're trying to exterminate them, they're still protecting Kryn refugees on Earth. Even now, even after everything, they choose mercy. The transmission ended. For a moment, nothing changed. The battle continued its deadly dance. Then Ji-Woo's console showed something unexpected. Ships in the Kryn fleet were going dark. Not destroyed. Just shutting down weapons. Pulling back from the formation. "What's happening?" Minji demanded. "Some Kryn ships are refusing to fight," sensors reported. "Not many. Maybe 50 ships. But they're withdrawing from the battle." Green. "Zelmora's message is spreading through their fleet," communications added. "The Kryn can't jam it without jamming their own military channels. But 50 ships out of 10,000 barely mattered." The battle raged on. Human losses mounted. The Sol 2 was destroyed, covering a retreat. The Mokpo broke in half, under concentrated fire. The Ulsan died protecting a refugee transport. "We can't hold much longer," Tactical said quietly. "They're going to break through our lines." Ji-Woo looked at his console. His electronic warfare systems were running hot, but they were effective. Too effective. He had an idea. A terrible idea. "Captain," he said, "I can override the safety limits on the EW system. Create a jamming pulse that would shut down every electronic system within 10,000 kilometers, including our own." "Yes, but it would give the other ships time to reorganize, time to fall back to tighter defensive positions." Minji studied him. "You'd be dead in space. No power. No shields. A target." "I know," Ji-Woo said. Before Minji could respond, Admiral Kim's voice came over the fleet channel. "All ships. This is Earth Defense Command. Prepare to receive firing solution. For Protocol, Lazarus." The bridge went silent. Ji-Woo saw Minji's face go pale. "What's Protocol, Lazarus?" he asked. "The failsafe," Minji whispered. "The thing we hoped we'd never use." A new display appeared on every ship's console. Star charts. Targeting coordinates. Weapons platforms that appeared to be scattered throughout Kryn space. Hundreds of them. Thousands. "This is Admiral Kim," the voice continued. 150 years ago, humanity enforced the Treaty of Terra. We demanded every species disarm. We reduced our own military to prove our good faith. But we learned from history. We learned that peace without strength is just waiting to be conquered. The targeting data continued to stream in. Automated weapons platforms, hidden in asteroid fields, in dead systems, in the depths of space where no one looked. All aimed at Kryn worlds. "These platforms have been in place for 150 years, Kim said. Dormant, hidden, monitoring. They are armed with kinetic weapons sufficient to sterilize every major Kryn colony and their homeworld. We could have activated them at any time. We chose not to. We chose mercy." In the Kryn fleet, ships began to slow. Weapons fire decreased. They were receiving the same data. They were seeing the extent of humanity's hidden deterrent. "Fleet Commander Raltok," Kim continued. "You came here with 10,000 ships believing we were weak, believing our mercy was foolishness. You were wrong. We have the power to destroy your species. Every world. Every colony. We can do in hours what would take your fleet weeks to accomplish to us." Silence filled space. Even the battle seemed to pause. "I am transmitting activation codes now," Kim said. "You have 1 hour to withdraw your fleet from Earth space and begin negotiations for ceasefire. If you refuse, if you continue this genocide, we will show you the same mercy you showed us." The activation sequence began. On Ji-Woo's console, he could see the weapons platforms coming online. Targeting systems activating. Weapons charging. 60 minutes until the Kryn species faced extinction. "She's bluffing," Captain Minji said quietly. "She has to be. Humanity wouldn't commit genocide. We're not like them." But the platforms continued their countdown. 50 minutes. In the Kryn fleet, chaos erupted. Ships broke formation. Some moved to retreat. Others pushed forward, determined to destroy Earth before the platforms could fire. The perfect armada dissolved into confused panic. 40 minutes. More Kryn ships went dark, their crews refusing to fight. Zelmora's message had spread through their fleet like fire. Hundreds of ships now. Thousands, all facing the choice between following orders and committing their species to mutual destruction. 30 minutes. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Kryn flagship, communications reported. Fleet Commander Raltok is requesting to speak with Admiral Kim. 20 minutes. Ji-Woo held his breath. The entire galaxy held its breath. This is Fleet Commander Raltok, the Kryn's voice came through. We withdraw our attack. We request ceasefire negotiations. Silence. Then Admiral Kim's response. Ceasefire, acknowledged. All human ships. Hold fire. Hold positions. The battle stopped. Ships hung in space, weapons still hot, but no longer firing. Protocol Lazarus sequence will continue to 10-minute mark, Kim said. As a reminder that we are serious. Fleet Commander, you have 10 minutes to begin withdrawing your forces. The Kryn fleet slowly turned. 10,000 ships, defeated not by firepower but by the recognition that humanity's mercy had always been backed by the power to enforce it. At the 10-minute mark, Admiral Kim spoke again. Her voice was tired. Sad. Protocol Lazarus. Standby mode. Maintain ready status. The platforms went dark. Not offline. Just waiting. People of Earth, Kim said. The battle is over. We won. But victory tastes like ash when bought at such a price. Ji-Woo leaned back in his chair, suddenly exhausted. Around him, the bridge crew sat in stunned silence. Captain, he said quietly, would she really have done it? Would we really have committed genocide? Minji was quiet for a long time. I don't know, she finally said, and I pray we never find out. 3 weeks later, Ji-Woo stood in a field on New Busan. The colony was being rebuilt. Slowly. Carefully. The scars of orbital bombardment still marked the land, but life was returning. Zelmora worked beside him, planting seeds in soil that had been scorched by war. Around them, other refugees did the same. Humans and Kryn and a dozen other species, all working together. Do you think it will last? Ji-Woo asked. The peace? I don't know, Zelmora said. But I know humanity will be watching. And everyone knows now that your mercy has limits. Ji-Woo thought about Protocol Lazarus. Those platforms still existed. Still hidden. Still waiting. A reminder that humanity could destroy any species that broke the peace. We gave the galaxy 150 years of peace, he said. And they tried to destroy us for it. Maybe the next 150 years will be different. Maybe. Zelmora agreed. Or maybe we just learned that peace isn't just being kind. It's being strong enough that others don't dare break it. Ji-Woo planted another seed and covered it with soil. In the distance, he could see ships in orbit. Not Kryn warships. Human defense vessels. Watching. Protecting. Ready. The new treaty had been signed. The Kryn paid heavy reparations. War criminals faced trials. And humanity revealed to the galaxy the full extent of their hidden deterrence. Every species now knew that humanity's mercy was real, but it was not weakness. It was a choice they made from a position of strength, and if anyone ever made them regret that choice again, the galaxy now knew that humanity remembered how to fight. They just preferred not to. That night, as Ji-Woo lay in his rebuilt home, he thought about his grandfather, the old man who had taken in a Kryn refugee 150 years ago, who had taught her to farm, who had shown her peace. His grandfather had been right. Peace was worth fighting for. But the galaxy had taught humanity a hard lesson. Peace only survives when those who want it are strong enough to protect it. When mercy is backed by the power to punish those who violate it. 150 years ago, humanity arrived at a galaxy at war and chose peace. For the next 150 years, they would enforce it, not with kind words and treaties alone, but with the quiet promise that behind every act of mercy stood the power to end anyone who mistook kindness for weakness. The galaxy learned, and peace, hard-won and carefully maintained, settled once more across the stars.